What's going on, guys? Hey, it's Bongface. Today I wanted to bring you this crazy story out of California with Slick Rick, Gavin Newsom, and the Democrats out there trying to give everyone $250,000 just for being black. Let's check it out.
But Newsom's kicking it up a notch. He wants to launch the most expensive reparations plan in American history. Over $500 billion, $250,000 for any black person whose ancestor faced housing discrimination. How do you know if you faced housing discrimination? Well, that's determined by Newsom's Reparations task force. And it's not just money for housing discrimination. Newsom's Reparation task force wants to hand out more cash for what they call mass incarceration, unjust property seizures, devaluation of black businesses, and access to health care.
This is a 600-page report that chronicles the harms against the African-American community, starting with what Vice Chair Brown says is the original scene of the crime, that being the transatlantic slave trade. The recommendations for reparations must include compensation, restitution, which accounts for stolen land or stolen wealth, stolen opportunities, rehabilitation, free education, free healthcare is examples. I'm not saying those are going to be the final recommendation. Not all Black people in the state of California will be eligible for reparations in the state, but those who are the descendants of free and enslaved Black people living in the U.S. prior to 1900 will be eligible.
All I heard was a bunch of free. And now, if you know how the system works, nothing in the world is free. So what she's saying is she wants taxpayers' money to pay for this. So in turn, black people's taxes are going to go to paying their own reparations. And this free education and free healthcare and all that she was talking about, like, where do those facilities operate at that they're just free? So once again, they're going to be taxpayer funded. It's definitely going to be a lot harder to prove that you were an ancestor of slaves. I don't know too many people that, have their family trees lined out like that.
When someone says reparations, you're probably thinking that cash should go to the families of enslaved Black Americans. Wrong.
Providing reparations only for those who can prove their descendancy from enslaved Africans is yet another win for white supremacy.
Now, I'm willing to listen to people who believe Black Americans are owed something from a country that enslaved their ancestors. I'm not sure I agree with it, but I'm willing to listen, and maybe I can be convinced. Africans were kidnapped from their homes, brought to a foreign land, broken in by their masters, and then worked for the rest of their lives as slaves.
It's just never good enough. Like, what else could you possibly want? You want $250,000 given out to everyone based on the fact that maybe their family were slaves back in the day. And also, where did these slaves come from? How did they get to the places they went to? The transatlantic slave trade. Who gathered up all the slaves and sold them? I'll not touch on that too much. There was just a film recently that came out that they thought was going to be this big epic thing that kind of got dunked on because once the facts got revealed, it wasn't really in their favor.
It sounds like this is going to end up costing more than Build Back Better, just a wee bit. This isn't just free money, it's a fortune, $250,000 handout per person. And with the country already deeply divided, how will slavery reparations impact the relationship between Black and whites? Do Native Americans get any money? How about Japanese Americans? Their ancestors were put in internment camps. Women were denied equal rights for a long time. Are they going to get a check too? Or are we going to have to pay back Mexico for taking the entire Southwest? Where does it stop?
And now that's the key thing right there. Where does it stop? Once you open Pandora's box, when does it stop? What about the Polish? What about the Italians, the Irish? All them that were forced to build this country that we know of today. No one ever talks about giving them reparations. This will just take us broke, just like every other stupid plan the Democrats have.
How much will it cost? These are all legitimate questions because once you go down this road, the lawyers come out. And basic math tells you we can't afford slavery reparations. $2,000 stimulus checks supercharged inflation. What do you think checks for $250,000 are going to do?
This is just a crazy idea. I can't even believe that they're thinking that this is plausible. I think this is just cocaine Gavin trying to look good before the next election, because that's where his mind's at right now.
Gavin Newsom's licking his chops. He may have run California into the ground, but he's young, he's got good hair, and is related to Nancy Pelosi. What more could you want? A state filled with crime, illegals, and rampant homelessness is a good track record as far as Democrats are concerned.
That really hits the nail on the head, though, on what the Democrats deem electable and what they'll put up with. California is a cesspool. Now, I know there's a lot of good people out there, but they elect the worst kinds of people. Now, I've learned from the 2020 election and the 2022 midterms to never count somebody out, because they elected Joe Biden and John Fetterman, which completely blew my mind. So, but if you guys are still here, hey, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I'll check you on the next one. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Let's go, Brandon.